Good evening and welcome. Electioneering campaigns for the 2015 elections are coming in thick and fast as the gladiators seek to sway the electorate. Who will succeed? Time will tell. Welcome to Nigeria 2015. I am Neota Igbe. Now, politicians appear not to want to leave anything to chance as they continue preparations for the 2015 elections. The youths, they say, are the leaders of tomorrow. But that now sounds as a recurring phrase. Do politicians have any meaningful plans for the youth? What do the youth themselves think? We will attempt to find out answers to these questions tonight. We will also hear from our team of correspondents from around the country as they tell us and bring us up to speed on what is happening from their various locations.
This is Yemi Kosoko from Jos Plateau State, as we take you into happenings on the plateau concerning youth and violence in electioneering campaign.
Thank you very much, Yemi. How will it play out online today? We would like to remind you that we've got several platforms for you to participate and get your voice heard on the program. First, you can tweet at us using the hashtag Nigeria 2015. Please use the Twitter handles at the bottom of your screen at Channels TV and at Neota Igbe. There, you can also tell us if you've collected your PVC or not using the hashtag PVC collected or PVC not collected. I must warn here, though, that the PVC collected, the hashtag PVC collected and PVC not collected is not to be sent to the emails. If you have questions or comments, you can send to the emails at nigeria2015@channelstv.com. Now, let's get to meet the people that will be joining us tonight to discuss this or to find answers to this question. Joining us tonight, ladies first, we have Yemi Adamolekun, Executive Director, Enough is Enough. Also joining us is Chude Jidenwo, co-founder of Future Africa. Thank you for joining us, Chude.
Thank you for having us.
Now, according to INEC, in 2011, the youth were about 65% of the voting population in the country. They are likely to have an equally high figure this year. To what extent will they participate in this election, or will their votes make any difference? A look at some of these figures show how they worked out in the population. Nigeria, for instance, has a population of 140 million. That's coming from the 2006 census. Those are the figures we have from 2006 census. 140 million, that's the population of Nigeria. Now, this makes Nigeria the nation that's most populated on the African continent. The figures must have changed between 2006 and now, though, because going by the United Nations estimation of 2011, Nigeria's population may have grown to way over 160 million. That's UN's estimation as at 2011. Now, in fact, a CIA estimation in 2003 put Nigeria's population at 180 million. Meanwhile, 1/3 of Nigeria's population is made up of the ages between 10 and 24. 1/3 of Nigeria's population is aged between 10 and 24. And following that, the Nigerian youth between the ages of 18 and 39 constitute 64% of the nation's adult population. Will this make any difference in this year's election? We will get to find out. But the question that many will be asking is, who is a youth? In the Nigerian context, according to the Nigerian Youth Policy of 2001, it defines the youth as comprising all young persons between the ages of 18 and 35 years who are citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. These are the people that the Nigerian nation has defined as youth. Will they make any difference in today's elections? We will get to find out tonight as I walk up and join my guests tonight. Thank you, Yemi and Chude, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
As we just go on straight and ask and attempt to answer these questions, what would the youth, what effect would the youth have on these elections? Yemi?
Well, I mean, if you go by the numbers you said, if 18 to, so for INEC's 2011 registered voters, 18 to 35-year-olds were about 62.4%. So if that demographic comes out to vote for any candidate at any level en masse, then they really do have the power to decide who wins. It's really that simple.
Just this is the fact that they come out to vote will make the difference.
Yeah, if they choose to, I mean, they choose to exercise their vote and they come out in large enough numbers, they actually have the demographic power to determine who wins whichever election.
Oh, Chide, in 2011, did that demographic make any difference in the election?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why both candidates are targeting their messaging at young people. I mean, you heard one of the candidates last week say, and speaking specifically to new voters because of an understanding of the power of this new bloc. And so in terms of actual numbers, like Yemi said, yes, they did make a difference in the last elections. And then in also shaping the conversation as to priorities in governance and all of that. Through traditional, social, and just on the streets, you know, by sheer numbers. They inevitably, it's like Yemi says, it's very simple. Inevitably, young people will define most of the outcomes from the elections.
But the question some of the people will be asking is, do the youth even realize how much power they have in their hands?
I mean, you know, that question always trips me. You know, it's, you know, does the Nigerian know what the power is in his or her hands? I mean, it's either way. I think that the answer would be yes. If you look at the sheer momentum and enthusiasm at the rallies, for instance, if you look at the sheer heatedness of the conversation on social media, for instance, if you look at the fact that, you know, young people are asking more than at any time, you know, beyond the promises, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? I think that as much as is possible in a country with fragmented media as we have, in a country where information doesn't flow in a straight line as we do, in a country where people have every reason to be disaffected and disconnected from governments on different levels, people have demonstrated an understanding of the importance of their vote and of this entire process. So, you know, even sometimes I think the question might be, you know, gratuitous, so to speak, but to the extent that do people know that they have these powers? I would say yes, they do. I mean,
you talked about the divided nature or the conversations on the social media. Yemi, you're an advocate of youth empowerment and youth activism, so to speak. Would you say that conversation is tended towards a better election than what we had in 2011?
Oh, without a doubt. I think one of the hallmarks of the 2011 elections was sort of the emergence of social media and people using it not only to learn, to start conversations, but also on election day to really track what was happening, how people were voting and turning results. I mean, so fast forward 4 years, you can only imagine what has happened. You got more people who are on social media. You have internet penetration in Nigeria increasing significantly. People are accessing various platforms on their mobile phones. Now, of course, there are the downsides of it makes it very easy to share falsehood and rumors. But the beauty of social media, at least from our perspective, is that it tends to self-correct itself. So for a period of time, you might have someone being able to run with a falsehood, but quickly people do a bit of research, come back, things don't add up, you're able to dig, and that really is the beauty of the internet. And before you know it, people will come back and say, no, that's really not true. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the simple fact that social media allows anybody who has access to the internet a voice makes it an incredibly powerful tool, and we continue to see how much parties and candidates continue to spend on those platforms, trying to court supporters, trying to court votes as well.
Yeah, you said something about research, abuse, going around with falsehood, and then going through a research process and coming back onto that platform. How effective would you say that has been? Because sometimes, indeed, falsehood is peddled across board. It goes a long way, sometimes shaping the mindset of a lot of people. How would that work out? I mean, has it been in any way effective in terms of research and then coming back to clear the falsehood that has been peddled for such a long time?
I think so. I mean, I think a classic case was sometime last year when a Twitter handle came up called Wendell Slimlin, or not Wendell Slimlin, or whatever his name was, and tried to basically tie in the former CBN governor to Boko Haram attacks. All it took over a period of maybe, I think, 48 hours, because it seemed really quite odd. So it was a press release, and people thought, this is really strange. This is someone that's not on Twitter normally, and then suddenly you come up, you have a press release that you want people to publish. And all it took really within 48 hours was people to actually look at the document that was sent and see the signature of it, and realize that it was actually someone tied to government trying to be mischievous. Now, it had gone quite far, but I think the fact that people were able to do that research, come up with the identity of the person, and almost really shut it down, it just died. So the person never issued a press release again. And so for me, that's always a classic example of when people, it's always easier to do when people feel a stake in it. So we can be very lazy, very true. But if you say something against someone that is either my candidate or someone that I'm passionate about, people are more incentivized to actually go and do research and verify that it's actually true. But if it's some rumor, and also, I mean, it's the whole transition as well from social media to traditional media. Because some things come up on social media, and traditional media might sometimes pick it up and amplify it without doing that research. But invariably, it does correct itself.